Welcome to the official Bathtub Refinishing podcast, powered by BathTubGuys Refinishing. This is where we discuss the refinishing industry, interview owners and operators, and give tips to customers and entrepreneurs. Now, here's your host, Daniel Montalvo.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. This is the first episode. I'm kind of nervous, excited. Don't know where this is going to lead, but I'm excited to do this. This is going to be just kind of like an introductory episode, just telling you guys more about myself, my journey in the business and this type of industry, and just kind of giving you an idea of what to look forward to. I have a little bit of notes here. If you see me drift off to the left here, to the right here, depending on how you're looking, you'll see me, glance over there. Hopefully I get better with time and I don't have to do that. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys basically how I got started in this business of bathtub refinishing. And again, I should probably say the name. This is the official Bathtub Refinishing podcast. Very excited. Anyway, so basically how I got started in the business was I actually grew up in the business. So we're a second generation company, which in Orlando, in our area, is pretty rare. I don't think there's any other one in Orlando that's second generation. And so that means that it's been in the family. So my dad used to own the company. He started back in Massachusetts, actually, early 90s type of thing. And then he brought it over to Orlando when he moved here with my mother and my sister, and I wasn't even a thought yet. And then fast forward a little bit, they went on and off the business. The recession in 2008 hit. And after that, my dad was like a locksmith at the time, and he jumped back into the refinishing world. I graduated high school in 2017. A lot of people think I'm a lot older than I actually am. I'm actually only 22 years old. But I like to think of that as a strength more than a weakness. A lot of people like to think that just because I'm young that I'm inexperienced or I don't know what I'm talking about. But the reality is that I have a lot more experience than a lot of people who are in the industry in our area, because I grew up in this. This is, a lot of people went and worked at the local ice cream shop when they were in their teenage years or something like that. And when I, needed a summer job or to make some extra money on the weekends, I went to go help out my dad when, in the refinishing tub world. So I grew up in this business. I'm very experienced in this business. I know it from top to bottom, like the back of my hand. So, this is something that me and my brother, who's the other owner of BathTubGuys, he's more on the field side, but hopefully, and if everything goes good this year, he'll be on and we'll pick it up. You can see I'm not experienced here with the podcast. Let me shut the whole phone off here, but hopefully he'll get more into the administrative and advertising side and get more into that. But right now he's the head field guy. He started working it when he was 16, so he's been spraying for years. And so, I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys basically how I got started. So fresh out of high school, business was struggling. I got to be honest with you guys. I'm not going to, sugarcoat it. Everything was pretty fucked. And yeah, I'm going to curse on this podcast. That's just how I am. I feel, I watch a lot of videos of Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, and I just feel it's a lot more authentic to be myself. And so on something like this, it's not very formal and it's kind of my own thing. I might curse every now and then. If you don't like it, well, sorry. But yeah, business was pretty fucked. I pick up the business after my parents had been running it, which, God bless them. They did the best that they could under the circumstances. But, come to find out the office phone number was wrong for like a year. It was like to a direct landline that they had when they had an office, which they, at that point they had lost the office because things just weren't going well. And then I come to find out, I'm looking at their business profile, which is where the majority of business comes from. If you're a local company and you don't run ads, which at that time they weren't running ads. So I go and I see that they have the wrong phone number. It's a number that's not even connected anymore. So that was a big red flag. The website was outdated, even though it was modern, and just all the information on it was no longer correct. The prices were on the floor when the industry was maturing and more people were getting into this line of work. So they weren't charging as much as they should. And so right away, like I felt like, I had to get to work, and, it was very difficult at that time for my family to accept the fact that, he's going to be, at that time I was 18, this 18-year-old kid. And, my brother, who was like 21 or 22, they're going to come in here and take over the business, and, we got to rely on it and on them, you know what I mean? And, I kind of convinced them. I told them I'm going to go do something else if I'm not doing this. And, it was evident to me that I needed as much control as possible in order to get this done, because, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's like an old saying. And my parents weren't willing to do what I told them to do, or, I really just think that they were just scared and they didn't know what to do to push the company forward. So without going into a lot of detail, things like advertising, they just weren't doing. I mean, we do a lot of stuff on Google AdWords and Facebook ads and stuff like that now. And when I started, I mean, it was nothing. So, we had to rely on basically organic search reach, which, is hit or miss. And especially when you're a brand new business and you don't have any reviews or anything, or not brand new, but you know what I mean? Like, they weren't upkeeping with it. So I was basically starting from scratch. And so, first thing I did was go in there and I made some changes to the website. A big misconception when you're starting is that you have to be cheap or the cheapest one, and that's how you compete. And that's just bullshit. First thing I did was raise the prices. They were at $239 for a standard tub. I raised it to $269, and about a year later, $275, and now we're up to $375. And I really feel that that was a big issue as well. I think when you have the price too low, it kind of cheapens the brand. And we do good work, and we were always one of the companies in the area that people would have a bad experience and they'd call us and be like, oh, you're, head and shoulders above the rest. So whenever we did, refinishing work, I mean, we had a really strong warranties out of the gate. We had really good, competitive pricing, but I just felt like it was too little for the, what I heard out there. Every time we'd get a customer, they would say, you guys are so much better than the rest. And it's like, well, why are we, and mind you, a lot of the customers told us that they paid more for shittier work. So, it was just one of those things where, I was like, all right, we need to upgrade the pricing. That's number one. I obviously changed the phone numbers on that, on that Facebook or on the Google business page, which helped us a lot. Obviously you're going from nobody calling you organically to people, finally finding you. And it wasn't like, it wasn't like we were just slow. I mean, we had employees leave because there was just no work. And, we had like hotels and resorts calling us on and off because we had a pretty good following in the commercial realm. So hotels, resorts, apartments and stuff like that. And when that stuff ended, it was almost like a switch went off. Residential, we were just doing terrible, and it's unfortunate, but it's the reality. But we picked that up. We started running ads, started doing some upkeep on the website, just updating it more frequently. I'm going to tell you guys what really set it off for us was social media. And my parents are older. My dad's in his 60s and my mom's in her 50s, I believe, 50. So and they just aren't. I mean, I don't think it's an excuse, but I also think that and it's understood that it's a lot harder for people in that age group to fully capitalize on social media and the power of it. So I started watching, videos, educating myself on how to pretty much run a business in the modern age and use social media as a tool in order to get the best results. And happy to say that listening to people like Gary Vee, YouTubers like The Contractor Fight, and other YouTubers, I was able to build what I think is a very, very successful business. and amplify on what my parents did, and keep the business alive and the company alive, and we're thriving today, thankfully. We were at a point where we were charging like $239 for a standard bathtub, and like I said, now we're charging $375. We're booked out weeks in advance on the residential side. We're looking to expand, to hire more people. Hopefully, get a big shop open so I can have multiple crews run out. Right now we have 2 or 3, depending on, the needs, but it's just, it's a completely different thing when you learn how to master social media. And I'm not going to go too much into depth on it today, but eventually, I started this podcast not just because I want to talk about the refinishing industry and I want to get the word out there about this type of work and what you can expect and how much it's changed over the years, but also into entrepreneurship and expanding business and utilizing the tools, especially social media, and telling all of you because much like Gary Vee, which I watch and I admire a lot, I'm in this more for the brand building than the money and all that other stuff. And I feel like it's kind of narcissistic, but that's just how it is. I want to be remembered as the guy that was right for stuff. So, and even though I'm kind of piggybacking off what he's doing, I could add my little spin on it and, tell them how, tell people, my viewers or whoever watches this, what we did versus, what other people do, how it's a little bit different, how it can help you, and hopefully you guys get better results because of it. So it's not just me talking about bathtub refinishing every day. I'm going to interview people hopefully in that industry because I want to further that industry. I want to expand on it. I want it to become, the point where people don't even consider replacement. They just, they're like, oh, I'm going to try this first, which unfortunately is still not the case, but it's getting there. But entrepreneurship, I've always been enamored by that. I've always been very interested. I am one of those people that I will start researching stuff. I did everything, I flipped stuff on eBay and, trying to figure out how I could sell stuff online from even a little, an early age. I always, was interested in stuff like that and being independent and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be interesting for you guys to see some of the stuff that I do, how it's a little bit different than others. And pretty much, getting more into the entrepreneur side as well as bathtub refinishing and that whole world. Some misconceptions about our line of work. And I'm just, I have some topics here that I wanted to discuss. Just a, introductory episode. So I'm not too worried about, like anything like having a really cohesive flow. But I want to talk about some misconceptions in the bathtub refinishing industry. A lot of people think that, and it's funny, but, I get it. But a lot of people think that, when you're spending, let's say for a standard bathtub and tile, anywhere from $500 to $600, maybe more. But, let's just say under $1,000 to get your bathtub and tile refinished and make it look really nice. I mean, to the untrained eye, and, they think it looks brand new. And, I'm talking about delivering a high quality job where there's no runs, everything is shiny and glossy. But obviously this is something that's applied by hand, and, there's always imperfections. I mean, you can go to the store and get a tub, and it'll have imperfections. I remember once I went to the hardware store, and, you could see that from the factory where they pressed the new steel tubs, there's like a drip on there from when they put that inside the ceramic coating. So like it happens, and obviously I'm not saying that drips should be normal when you're doing refinishing, of course not. I mean, that's something that's like a rookie mistake, but people have a misconception that they're gonna pay under $1,000 for something that's mostly cosmetic, even though we do warranty it, and that it's going to be perfect and something out of the factory, which is something that always kind of annoyed me. And obviously we do, like I said, we do a good job. We don't do half-assed work. I'm not going to leave someone's house rough or full of overspray or leave drips all over the place or runs everywhere. We deliver a high quality refinishing job, but that's what it is. It's a refinishing job. I mean, if you want brand new out of the factory, is what I always tell people. And I've lost jobs that are thousands of dollars from telling people this, but then on the other hand, I have people who appreciate the honesty and they'll give me the job anyway. If you want brand new out of the factory, you got to pay for it. And that's just a reality. I mean, when you're choosing refinishing, you're choosing to save thousands of dollars and time. Money isn't everything, but time is everything. You can't get your time back. That's the only thing that you can't get back in life. And so, refinishing, a tub and tile will take you a few hours, but, redoing and retiling your whole bathroom, I mean, this is something that could easily take a week or two. And not to mention the cost, which, that connects to time, in which, most people are going to have to work more and allocate more time towards work to get the money to then, pay, $5, $6, $7, $8 to redo their bathroom. And that's what it costs. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand. Let me just sit up here. But a lot of people don't get that. You can go get a bathtub at Home Depot for under $300. I mean, yeah, but they think that, then, they'll turn around to people who are in my industry. And it happens to me all the time. There's people who understand, but there's people who don't. They'll say, oh, why would I pay you $375 to refinish the bathtub when I could just go buy a new one for under $300? That doesn't make any sense. And it's like, you goofball. How are you going to take the tub out? You're going to rip it out? Guess what? Houses are essentially built around the bathtub. So if you want to pop that tub out, you're going to have to remove at least 2 rows of tile, because the plumbing is going to have to be reworked. And if you know anything about modern American homes, all of them have the shower control valves and the faucets where the tile is. And all that stuff is going to have to be reworked, because odds are your house wasn't built last year. And so you're going to have to find, in order to avoid that, you would have to find a tub that's the exact same size as one that was the American standard back in 1984, 1999, 2005, whatever your house was built, which is impossible. It's pretty much impossible. And so people, it's like common sense is lost on a lot of people. I mean, obviously, the refinishing industry exists for a reason. And that's, that's just the gist of it. People do this line of work because replacing isn't just as easy as popping in a new tub. You'd think people would, I know people aren't highly educated in this industry, which is part of the reason why I'm doing this. But it's like, if you really sit there and think about it, you look at the tub and it's like, yeah, the house is kind of built around it. So it's not going to be necessarily an easy feat to pull that thing out. But so that's one of the misconceptions about refinishing that I just don't like that much, is that people expect perfection, but they also don't want someone to yank out their tub and their tile and spend a week doing so. We strive for perfection as much as possible. I always tell everybody, we do our best to make sure everything comes out a high quality professional job, but we guarantee that it's going to be a smooth and glossy surface, that you're not going to have drips, runs, workmanship. And we also guarantee that it's not going to start unadhering, which is something that a lot of people, in, especially in our area in Orlando, they do half-assed work. And we get calls from people all the time. My tub is peeling, and then we have to charge them for stripping and stuff. And it pains my heart, but if you're asking me to do more work, we're gonna have to charge you more. But yeah, people, they half-ass the preparation, stuff starts peeling off, and then you're stuck with a tub that, needs to be stripped and then refinished all over again. And a lot of people, they'll have a bad experience with a refinisher who does some bullshit like that. And then they'll go ahead and choose to replace and spend the thousands of dollars. And unfortunately, it puts people off to our industry. But I think that the the way you got to look at refinishing, in my opinion, is number one, is it better than what you had before? Which in most cases, I'd say 9 out of 10 times, yes. And is this something that's gonna last a long time? Which it's just as simple as choosing a company with a warranty and reading on reviews and make sure that they honor their work. We warranty stuff for 7 years. We have an optional lifetime warranty, which lifetime meaning the lifetime of the material, which the manufacturer recommends around 25 years. And we truly believe that if you take care of your bathtub properly, proper care and maintenance, and you clean it, that it should last that long as you don't do accidental damage or anything like that, which, you could drop a hammer in a porcelain tub and it'll chip. So, I mean, if you drop it on something that has an epoxy layer over it, it's going to chip as well. And that's what I always tell people. That's a misconception, a big misconception that a lot of people have, that refinishing is stupid because you can just pop in a new tub. You're going to spend $5 or $6 and, wait a week. And also, that this is something that's going to come out perfect when perfection doesn't exist. Plus, that's subjective. What you think might look perfect and what I think is completely different. And, you can find brand new tubs from the factory at Home Depot, at the hardware store, that have imperfections. So, some misconceptions about entrepreneurship. This is one that I love because I get it from my friends too. They think that and some, I don't know if they're doing it jokingly or stuff, but some of them think that, because I do have a lot of free time relative to working a strict 9 to 5. They have a misconception that I just sit at home all day and play video games, which, I play video games, but not all day like that. And also I get into these, entrepreneurship is very, it's very weird because sometimes I'm like cool where I could just chill, maybe catch a baseball game and unplug for 2 hours. But then I'll spend 6 hours straight researching, watching videos, testing out new ads. And I'll just obsess over, my work and trying to build the brand, which is what I want. More than just having a successful business, I want to build brand. That's my goal. I want to make refinishing a household name. And I believe that with BathTubGuys, we can do that. And deliver high quality work and eventually take this type of thing nationwide. But, baby steps and trying to educate the public and stuff like that. So, but yeah, misconceptions are, that, it's not real work or that you don't have a real job. That's another one that I hear a lot of the time, which is stupid. And I would beg, to differ. A lot of people, they'll work 9 to 5 and then they'll go out party and stuff like that. And what I do is sometimes I'll have to work 9 to 5 and I'll still, because I am I don't have anybody to answer to. And that's the thing that's a big difference. You have a problem at your normal job and you can go to HR, you can go to management and they'll solve your problems for you. Well, guess what? When you're the owner of a company, everything's on you. So your ads aren't performing, you fucked up. No one's is calling, it's your fucking fault. And it just is. I mean, you can try to sugarcoat it as much as possible and be like, oh, well, maybe it's just a slow. No, it's just not. I mean, there's millions and millions of people in pretty much every freaking state in this country. And there's thousands of ways to get to people. And most of the time things aren't working in your favor. It's just because you suck. That's it. We hear a lot of, and I'm not going to get into politics and stuff, but we hear a lot of times of, people in mass poverty and all this stuff. And yeah, that's true. And I acknowledge that and I'm sympathetic towards that. But we also hear of record-breaking sales of the new iPhone every year. And why is that? Because Apple is a brand. Apple is a brand. People are willing to pay for it, even people who can't afford it. So that's what I'm trying to do in the refinishing industry. And if that's the case, that's what I'm very hard on myself. And I feel like that's a positive. I feel like that drives me to want to do more. So some misconceptions about entrepreneurship, that it's not a real job or, that, I just sit here and play games all day, which, I wish, but no, a lot of my time, my free time actually, because working the normal hours, I'm usually on call if the guys need something or anything like that. And other than that, I have to go and after my job is when I have the time to look how the ads did, look how the website did, look how we're ranking here and doing all that stuff, and then look up new videos on how Google decided to change the analytics this week, and how Facebook's changing their algorithm, and then try to stay educated so I don't fall behind, so that we always have work. So that's one little misconception. And as the podcast matures and goes on, I'll run through more stuff, but I want to keep this relatively short because it is an introductory episode. So let's see my notes here. Some things that we did to get to this point, I'm going to brush through it, but I kind of already mentioned it because this isn't going to flow too well because it is the first episode. Eventually I do want to have like a format, but Facebook ads, Google ads, just utilizing social media. Oh my God, that has to be, if you take away anything from this, whoever watches this, if you want to build a successful business and brand eventually, social media awareness is number one. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We don't have Snapchat just because I feel like Snapchat kind of died off a little bit, even though we should be. But if you have something that's Snapchatable, like a bakery or something like that, where you could show off a lot of stuff and video is like key there, I would recommend utilizing that as well, or any other type of business. Snapchat's good. I'm just not on it. But we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm on TikTok, LinkedIn. So we're pretty much like on all these social media sites. Google My Business, which is one of the most underrated. Not enough people, including like Gary Vee and people like that, talk about Google My Business is powerful because Google naturally wants to push their own stuff on people. So when you search up a small business, especially a service business, on the Google Maps, tag that comes up, let's say you search up Bathtub Refinishing in Orlando, all the companies will pop up with a generic ad, but then where the reviews and the phone numbers and everything is on a Google My Business page, which is why it's so important. And I feel like it's kind of underutilized and under talked about. That's another very important one. And also, if you're in a place where it's not very competitive and you're one of the only ones in that field, having a Google My Business page is a really easy way to get organic reach without spending money. It's free. So that's really good. Let's see here. So the importance of educating yourself. So I think something that a lot of people do wrong is that they get comfortable. And I'm just never comfortable. So things will be going well. We're having a really, really good 2021. Record year for us, honestly, so far. And I'm recording this on April 5th, so we're doing really, really well. But I'm not comfortable. I mean, my philosophy is if our ads are working and we have a fantastic month, next month I'm going to put more in ads, and I'm going to further educate myself and try to really get this thing to take off. Always educating myself, watching videos. That's the easiest way to do it for me. I'm very much a visual learner. I do read from time to time, but I have to really be invested in something to sit there and read an article about it. But the importance of educating yourself, I think, is underrated. Go on YouTube, watch 5 to 10 videos about what you want to do or where you think you should improve, and don't give a fuck about what anyone's going to say. Just go out and do it. People, I mean, I told people I'm going to make a podcast about business, and people are just like, for what? But what are you going to talk about out there? It's like, I mean, there's podcasts about everything. And it's like, I think that, it's something that'll help my business in the long run. That's just my opinion. And, I could be wrong, but I think that being accessible to as many people as possible is the game. And I think that is in the long run going to help my business and other people's businesses if they choose to do the same or come on the podcast or something like that. And if you see me looking here, sorry about that. It's just that my video is showing there. I should be looking up here. But yeah, educating yourself is something that's very, very important. You need to, and in my opinion, you should know a little bit of everything, because God forbid you're relying on someone to put up your ads for you and they bail or they start sucking. And a lot of people who run ads try to, they'll do good in the beginning, but then they'll start doing shit because they want you to pay them more. And they'll say, oh, the algorithm changed and I could do it for you, but it's going to cost $100 to refix your ads. You should know a little bit about everything. You should educate yourself on how to run ads, how to edit your website. That's a big one, because if one day you just wake up and are like, I need to change prices, you don't want to, or, I need to update something on the website that's wrong. Like, you need to do it right there because it's wrong. Or you see that there's a big typo and it's affecting your SEO, your search engine optimization. You want to be able to know how to go in there and change something stupid if you have to, and not go through a middleman or two to get there. So, know how to do those things. It's very, very important. You should also educate yourself on utilizing social media. Try out different types of ads or different types of posts, see which ones perform best for you, and then go on and just push heavy on whatever's working for you. And again, I'm not going to go too much into depth, but just that's what you want to do, more or less. Another thing that I wanted to say is that, and I kind of gave my parents a pass, but really, there's entrepreneurs out there that are like in their 60s, 70s, and are fully utilizing social media to an extent where, they're making multi-million-dollar companies, and they are just doing it off the backs of social media. So I think, and this is just my, my deep down thinking, and I think that there's really no excuse. Either you want to be successful or you don't. If you do, then it's like anything. LeBron James wanted to play basketball since he was a little kid, and he strived every day to be the greatest. And now he is in the conversation, and he is, a superstar. So, but he practiced every day and, pushed himself to get to that level. And I believe that if you want something, you got to just go and do it. So I don't think there's an excuse. I don't think that because you're 50 something years old, you can't learn how to post some fucking things on Instagram. I just don't think that's the reality that we live in. And then, these same people who cry about, oh, well, I didn't grow up with this. It's like something that I see on Gary Vee stuff. I'm going to be mentioning him a lot because I feel like he was one of the most people who kind of like flipped the switch for me and made me not give a fuck and just go do what has to be done to be successful. Yeah, like you didn't grow up driving and you figured it out. Same thing. You see all these Facebook grandmas like posting pictures of their nephews and nieces and their grandchildren. And, so they know how to make a fucking post. All that stuff about, oh, well, I can't post stuff 5 to 7 times a day on social media because I didn't grow up with this stuff and I don't understand it. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. You can do it. All you got to do is spend some time on the fucking app and you'll figure it out. That's just my opinion. So there's no excuse. The only thing that I think is a legitimate excuse is if you have mental issues or physical ailments that are keeping you from doing that type of thing. But even then, there are people who are handicapped who have successful YouTube and successful businesses and successful anything endeavors just because they push very hard and they believe in what they want to do and then they get there. So I really believe that there's no excuse. If you want to do something, you push very hard and you can get there, and most people will. I don't really think that the problem is that people can't get there. I think that not enough people try to get there. That's just my opinion. People, they'll post things 2 or 3 days, and because they're not fucking Kylie Jenner overnight getting 1 billion fucking likes on Instagram, they'll fucking cry and weep and be like, oh, it's not working. Well, it's like, that doesn't happen overnight. It just doesn't. So there's no excuse to, saying that, you can't post stuff on social media. You can't fully utilize social media because, I don't understand it. That's not the case. It's not true. And tying into that a little bit, you shouldn't give a fuck about what people think. I mean, it's tale as old as time at this point, but people fucking thought that Steve Jobs was crazy for dropping out of college and going to work on some stupid computer software in his garage. Like, don't care about what people think. It's just, you just got to do you. Whatever you believe in, go out and do it. If you suck at everything, but you're really, really, really good at NBA 2K, go start a fucking YouTube channel. If you suck at everything and you're really, really good at painting walls, start painting walls. Like, don't, it doesn't matter what people think. I would argue that, what people think means nothing. What the end consumer and people watching your content think is more valuable. And, that's not to say like you post a video and someone says, oh, you look fat, you look stupid or whatever. That doesn't mean anything. But whenever you get valuable feedback or anything like that, or someone that's legitimately questioning something, I feel like it's important to listen to that. But don't really worry about what people think. Do what you think is right, because most of the time what you think is right is right. And tying back into what we were talking about before, there's no excuse and you don't give a fuck what people think. Live by those two philosophies and you're going to be a lot better off. In the beginning, not a lot of people don't know, but I have a YouTube channel, my personal channel. I just talk about stuff. I'm not going to plug it or anything, but I have like 5,000 subs on that YouTube channel. And I just started doing it. People were questioning, oh, why are you talking about that? It's like, well, because I want to. And I found people who were like-minded who wanted to, watch my YouTube videos, and they subscribed, and that's just how it happens. And the same thing with the business. It's like, oh, why are you going to post 5 to 7 things on Instagram? No one's going to see that. Well, guess fucking what, my guy? People started paying attention, and now it's paying off. So don't give a fuck about what people think, for sure. That's very, very basic. I think for a lot of people, that is the biggest hump. People would necessarily not be super shy doing a podcast about their painting company, or super shy about their accent or whatever the hell, problem that they're having deep inside that they have a problem with. But they care more about what people would think. When in reality, we're going to live here with all these fucking people and coexist. And you just got to first of all, like, no one has ever gotten ahead, no individual, without standing out. So in the beginning, people who stand out, they think of them as weirdos or people who are irregular. But in reality, the people who stand out are the people who the normies later go on and are admiring, like, oh my God, Justin Bieber's here, or, oh, look, it's Elon Musk. And then they start worshiping these people who were once like the weirdos, and they want to be them. And the reality, all those people hit a point where they're like, I don't give a fuck what people are going to say or think about me. And that's why they're successful. I think that's one of the biggest keys to success. So, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm sorry, I got on a little rant there, but I think that's one of the most important things, really. You don't want to care too much about what people think, because like right now, especially with how polarized things are, you just got to do you, man. Just do you. So closing this off, my name is Daniel. I own BathTubGuys Refinishing. Like I told you guys before, I'm one of the owners. My brother Alex is the other owner. And hopefully we get to do some more stuff with this podcast. I'm really, really interested. God, fucking jumbled that one up. I'm really, really interested. You see that? That's what happens. And I'm not going to cut this. I'm really, really interested in doing some reviews of products, maybe telling you guys what I think about them, doing some interviews with people in the industry. That's something that's very big. I already have someone who is interested, who I talked to, my buddy from Bath Art, which is a local company here in Orlando, said he'd be down. So hopefully that's true, and we can get him on here. And I want to talk about his journey and how he got into the business and kind of their philosophies and stuff like that, because I feel like he kind of is on the same, realm as me with, we're like one of the only companies, both of us are like among the only companies that really utilize social media and are kind of in the modern age with a lot of this stuff, which a lot of people in construction and contracting in general are just stuck in the fucking 1980s. So that I would love to do that. I would love to interview people who are entrepreneurs and kind of get an idea of their journey and how they got to where they are. And yeah, stuff like that is kind of what you have to look forward to here. And I'm very interested in you guys, honestly. People who are listening to this, if you have a company, a small business of any kind, really, I would love to interview you. It doesn't have to just be bathtub refinishing or necessarily contracting work, because I feel like the way I'm setting this podcast up, it's going to be kind of on multi levels. We're going to have stuff that's about bathtub refinishing, but we're also going to have stuff that touches on entrepreneurship in general, and what you do that works for you in your type of business versus what works for me. Kind of find happy mediums so that we can kind of educate the public and let them know, like, hey, we have two completely different types of businesses, but these two things work for both of us. So maybe it's a good idea that you implement that. So yeah, I just feel like this is a good step, in our industry. I think it's needed in the bathtub refinishing world and entrepreneurship in general, especially someone, and I'm not, bragging or anything, but someone who's young like me. I'm 22 and I'm very, very invested in this thing. And I think it's important to have a younger voice and a younger aspect at the table too, because a lot of people my age say they want to be entrepreneurs, but what they really want to do is pose in front of Lamborghinis on Instagram, fake it till you make it crowd type of people. And I'm really in this for the long game. Like I said, my goal is not to have the multi-million-dollar company. It's not to have endorsements. It's not to have any of that shit. I want to build brand. That's what I want to do. I want to have a household name, and I would love to have myself attached to it. So that's my goal. But other than that, that's pretty much it for this first episode of the podcast. I'm very, very excited to see how this does. You can go ahead and listen to it on Facebook. We're going to have little clips on Facebook, so maybe not the full thing. I'll see how it goes. If I see enough of a demand there, I'll put that. But definitely YouTube, video versions on YouTube, which for now, you're just going to be presented with my beautiful face. And then I'm going to go ahead and see if I could set up a place on the website where I can post it. Audio versions, I'm going to try to get on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those places. So pretty much anywhere that you could find podcasts, I'm going to try to have it on there. But for sure, for any of you who have YouTube, it's going to be on there for sure. And the video version is going to be on there. So thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your time, and I will see you guys on the next one.
You just listened to the official Bathtub Refinishing podcast, powered by BathTubGuys Refinishing. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to ask any questions or suggest topics for the next episode by following @BathTubGuys on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. And thanks for listening.